Hey, 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 it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today, I want to talk about onboarding. I want to talk about what happens after you offer someone a job, whether it's freelance, on contract, on salary. And the reason I want to talk about that is because I've recently just gone through that. And I feel like that's the best time to share because it's like on my mind. I'm living, I'm breathing it. I've got all the documents, I've got all the Google Docs open. So I'm going to walk you through how we plan to, because I'm going to be honest, we haven't done it yet. Well, at the time of this going live, it'll have started, but how we are planning to onboard our new hire.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
So here's the thing about onboarding. I always would hear this term. People would be like, okay, well, just make sure you've got a really strong onboarding plan. Onboard. I was like, what the frick is onboarding? Like, I never worked corporate, which means I never had experience or exposure to that. Like, it just wasn't a thing. I mean, my onboarding when I worked for the designer I worked for before was like, all right, here, can you respond to that email? Why don't you go pick that thing up? Can you find out the price of this fabric? And I was like, I don't even know. What does that mean? Who do I call? Like, I knew nothing because they didn't teach that in school. I had zero onboarding. I was just thrown into the deep end and had to figure it out. And I think as a result, that's kind of been how I've been as a boss and bringing people on. Or what would happen is I would I'm trying to find this document to share with you guys here. Or I would decide, oh, you know what? I don't want to deal with onboarding. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just hire someone with tons of experience. Duh, yeah, that's it. Then I don't need to worry about it because they'll know exactly what to do, right? Yeah, no, that is actually not. Unfortunately, even the most experienced employee still needs onboarding. They need to understand how you do it. They need to learn about your business. So I'm going to walk you through I'm going to call it the four is not a good one. The 5-step process to onboarding a new hire. This is after you've made the offer, they have accepted, and they're ready to hit the ground running. Here are the 5 things that we are going to do this time around that, quite frankly, we've never done before, but I learned it from somebody else and I'm going to try it. So I'm sharing it here with all of you. So the first thing we are going to do is prepare in advance. So before this person starts, we are going to think about onboarding. We're going to sit down, and actually we sat down, had a meeting to talk about, okay, here we go. Like, what are we going to do to prepare the pre-day, like maybe 3 days to a week before our employee starts with us? We need to spend some time in the week leading up to prepare. So here are the things that we're going to do to prepare, because honestly, in the past, they would just show up and I'd be like, oh yeah, I guess we got to get you an email set up. And I would literally sit there with them trying to set things up, wasting really precious time on the first day. And it's not a great first impression. So the first thing I do is create a Google Drive folder that's confidential for that employee. I will upload their resume, the job posting, and the offer letter, and the agreement, the signed agreement, all into that folder. Then I will alert my payroll company that this person is starting so that we know and we get all that information that we need. I will make sure that I have a checklist inside that Google Drive folder with all these things. So we make sure everything is there. One of the things you're going to need is a scanned copy of either their driver's license or their passport. You're going to need a void check if they're on payroll, so that, or a direct deposit form, so that you can get them set up in the payroll and deal with all of that early. So there's none of that kerfuffle of, oh my God, we have to get them paid. So set up the Google folder, then report them to your payroll people. Then create an email address for them. So create a business email account for your new employee. So if you use Google or the Google Suite, it makes it super easy to set up a new person's email address. You just go on in, you pick the name they're going to have, set it up, and then go in and reset their password to something generic that everyone uses. So maybe it's Rebecca Hay Designs. So on that first day, you can tell them, this is your email address. Here's your password. Let's log in together. And then you can change your password. Bonus tips, if you have key, emails already sitting in there waiting for them to go through and read to help onboard them, we're not there yet. That sounds really fancy. If you do provide any equipment, like if you're going to provide a laptop or a desktop or a cell phone or anything like that, like spend some time figuring that out before they start working. If you need to get a computer, or maybe you just need to clear the desktop from a previous employee, get that sorted before they start. And then schedule that first day. So that is tip number 2. Tip number 2 is schedule and plan out day 1 of their employment and let them know in advance what to expect on their first day. Do they need to bring lunch? Do they need to park in a particular location? Is it a Zoom conference call? If so, what team members will be there? Who are they going to meet? Do they need to bring anything or do anything in advance of starting on their first day? Let them know so that they're not sort of showing up blind and a little bit nervous. They're going to be nervous anyways, right? So Vera and I went through and we mapped out that first day. In fact, we mapped out the first week and we sort of mapped out in our Google Calendar what tasks are happening at what times in the day, so that it's not just just follow me in shadow. Those are not usually the best uses of time. I'm going to get into that part of the onboarding process, which is like breaking it down. I'll get there in a minute. The other part of this step, which is planning out that first day, is giving some thought to what is the most important aspect of this person's job, and how can I hit the ground running by getting them to start learning more about what it is. So usually it starts with getting to know the company. They may have done a little bit of research when they were looking at the job posting or looking to apply for your job, but it's never as diligent as when you can sit down and give them paid time to dig into your company. So we recommend that on that first day, you give them time to do something like go through your website, maybe look at your portfolio images. If this is a designer that's starting, if it's a marketing person, get them to like kind of comb through your social media, look at your Instagram content. For us, the podcast, we give them like 2 to 3 episodes we want them to listen to of the podcast. We want them to live and breathe our ethos, our everything. So let them get to see what it is that you create, a little bit more about who you are. Also, as much as fun as it is to kind of, well, fun, it may not be fun for you, I don't know, but as much fun as it may seem to talk at someone and show them, this is how we use Google Drive. This is how we use Asana. These are our standards for AutoCAD. This is how we do blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's just really helpful to give someone a guide or an online tutorial so they can spend some time learning it themselves. So give them a link to see how Asana works. Give them a link that shows them how to use design docs. Like give them an introductory training on something that they can kind of watch in their own time. The benefit to having time scheduled on the first day where they can independently work is that then you can do some of the tasks that you need to do. Because quite frankly, most of the time, we're small businesses. A lot of us don't have a human that can onboard exclusively for like 2 months or 2 weeks or whatever it is, without having to do other jobs. Like, you have tasks you have to do. You have phone calls you have to make. You have emails you need to send. You might have content you need to create. You might have samples you need to pick up. Like, I don't know. You're a busy person. So make sure you plan ahead to have independent tasks that the person can work on. Okay. Step number 3. Step number 3 is decide on 3 wins. These 3 wins are the 3 things that will tell you if they are excelling at the job. Meaning, you want to include a few overall big picture measurables at the top of your onboarding plan. So it's going to help your new employee understand what they're working toward, so that as they move to accomplish their tasks in the first 3 months of working with you. So you want to keep these wins short and sweet and be really specific so that they feel like, okay, I've achieved that. So for example, if you are bringing on an executive assistant, let's say like a virtual assistant, the first win could be the assistant has fully taken over my calendar, is scheduling meetings without having to ask my opinion or approval of certain events. That could be a win. You don't necessarily know when that's done by, but you want to make sure that in the first 90 days, that's complete. The second win could be something like, our new designer has implemented a system to ensure that the AutoCAD standards are standard across the organization so that all of our construction drawing packets look the same, or they've updated our title block. That could be a specific one for a designer. Another example of a win could be that they are, let's say they are planning our marketing meeting, guiding the meeting all on their own, and then assigning action steps. These are things that aren't going to happen on the first day or even the first week, but these will show you that they're making progress. Because if you don't set measurables for a new employee, it's hard for them to know if they're doing a good job, and they don't know what they're striving for, really. They're just like helping and running around helping. This is something that I never did. This is a big mistake of mine, was like getting frustrated that they weren't doing what I wanted them to do, but then I just kept giving them a bunch of tasks and it was not clear. I didn't have set deliverables for that employee. So it's something that has been really, really powerful in considering this time around. And we've written out our 3 wins so that they know on day 1, these are the 3 things that if you've achieved these in the next 90 days, you are on track. Now, obviously, there's a lot more that they're going to do too. Okay. Step number 4. So first you've created your, did I say no? I don't remember what my steps were. Oh my God. The onboarding. Okay. The week before, you planned out everything that's going to happen. You're spending the week before doing the pre-work. Then you've planned out day 1. Then you've created 3 wins that will be a great example of if they have achieved success or not. Next, you are going to create a 30, 60, 90-day plan. The way that I've done it this time, and I'll report back to you, let you know how it goes, is that we have like 4 or 5 tasks that need to be accomplished in the first 30 days. Then 3 to 5 tasks that need to be accomplished by the end of the first 60 days. And then 3 to 5 tasks that need to be accomplished by the end of the first 90 days. And those tasks are obviously not going to be an exhaustive list of everything that person's helping you with. Because, like, let's be honest, this is like totally impossible because there's so many things that they will help you with in a 30-day period. But they should be, and this is my understanding of it, and this is how we've created it, is that they should be tasks that are the building blocks to getting them to really long-term own that role. So for example, a 30-day task, a 30-day task could be, get familiar with all of the project management programs we use and set up all your login username information, get familiar with it. Then you just want to make a note. Is a place where they can circle or check, yes, this has been done. No, it has not been. Some people want their employees to read a handbook or an operations manual. We don't do that, but that could be one of those in the first 30 days, have gone through the operations manual, and listed any questions that you have for your boss or your superior or for me or what have you. There could be a task in the first 30 days that is like, I don't know, maybe it is assemble a construction drawing package for project A. Like, you can be really specific. It can be with projects you have ongoing, so that they know like that is a goal by the end, and then they can prioritize everything. So it also shows you how able are they at prioritizing the priorities that you've given them and balancing that with the day-to-day work that comes along. An example of a 60-day task could be something that's a little bit further along. So maybe it's, if they've already gotten to know the programs, maybe it's by the end of 60 days, you've developed a project in a sauna for our new residence that we are designing in Etobicoke. I'm just making this up on the spot, guys, right? So by the end of 60 days, you will have taken the template in a sauna, you will have copied it, and you will have filled in all the due dates for that project. Or by the end of the 60 days, you will have, maybe it's an assistant again, you will have booked my travel for High Point, hotel and flight. Same is repeated then for 90 days. So this takes time. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I feel like I'm whizzing through these guys. I'm just like so in it right now. I'm like, yes, I love it. So I just love a good guide. I love a good process. You guys know I love process. Like, establishing process in my business was like the biggest game changer. So now I'm taking process to the next level, and it's so fun. But I literally sat down the other day for a couple of hours and really gave some thought. So we're hiring a content manager and a community manager. And so for this content and community person, I was like, okay, what would be a sign of success for them in the first 30 days? Okay, doing a social media audit and making a list of all the things that we could improve on and what we should maybe keep doing. What would be success in the first 60 days? Okay, well, if by 60 days they can totally own my social media, they're planning it, and they only need to schedule me to create some content, like the reels or the videos. Okay, what would be success in the 90 days? Like, think about in that role, like, what are those 3 wins that you want? And then how do they manifest over the next 90 days? Knowing that very well, that content creator is going to be creating all kinds of graphics and all kinds of things on a daily basis. But what's going to show me that they are excelling to the next level and they can handle and own that position? Okay. I'm sure like you guys are listening, you're like head spinning, so many questions. And then there's others of you who've been in corporate and are like, Rebecca, first of all, Avi, and second of all, this is basic. Well, good for you. This is a lot for me. So as a solo entrepreneur, I never took the time to do this. I never had it modeled. I never had a template. This is the first time I'm really intentional this year about who we're hiring for what and where I want it to take the business. And so if I'm not strong in those first 90 days as a leader, I know that it's going to take me longer to get to where I want to go. So all that to say, step 5 is something actually I already do, but I thought it was worth adding because I think it's something that people need to, if they don't do it on a regular basis, you should at least do it for the first 3 months of a new hire. And I think this plan can be used to onboard contractors, like not like construction, sorry, like people who work for you on contract, people who work for you part-time, people who work for you freelance. You can still use this system. But step number 5 is to schedule a one-on-one check-in at the end of each month or at the end of each 30-day period. The reason I say we already do this is because a couple of years ago, when my operations manager, Mary Lee, came on, she created this system for us where we literally meet one-on-one with everyone. I meet one-on-one with the members inside my organization every month to talk about what's working, what's not, and how they're doing. Every month, 12 months of the year. If you're not ready for that, start with the first 90 days. And you need to meet with that piece of paper that shows all the tasks you wanted them to accomplish by the end of the 30 days. And you need to sit down and say, okay, how did we do? Did these get done? Yes, no, why or why not? And how are they doing? Like, give them feedback. Let them know, hey, I noticed that it's taking you a little longer to create the reels than, I really anticipated. And so let's talk about that. What's your process? Or maybe there's been some miscommunication. It's essentially a mini performance review, but it's a great opportunity to touch base. It's a dialogue. It's going to help your new employee better understand the expectations that you have of them and the requirements of the role, because sometimes people sign up for one job and then they get pulled in a million directions doing different things. So you can talk about, their knowledge of the job. Do they possess the knowledge and the technical competencies that you thought they did in the interview? The quality of their work, talk about that. Are you happy? Is it an acceptable standard? The quantity, like some people are really good, but they're also freaking slow. I've been there. So is it an acceptable standard? Is it accurate? But is it being done in a designated time period that is really financially sustainable? How are they using their time? Are they dependable? What are their communication skills like? And how are their interpersonal relations with the other members of your team, if you have them, or with your client, if that is relevant? Also, do not overlook attendance and punctuality, even if it's Zoom calls. Are they showing up late consistently? Like, if you're starting to see these behaviors in the first 30 days, you either need to nip those in the bud and tell them this is not acceptable, because if not, they'll just get worse. And then you're going to waste the next 2 months. 3 months for those who are new at this is a probationary period, meaning that if someone is on salary, you typically have 3 months where they're not accruing vacation. And it is a 3-month kind of breathing room for either party to say, hey, it's not working out. And you don't owe them any severance, if you will. So I would make sure that you do that after the 30 days, after the 60 days, and then after the 90 days. And at the 90-day mark, you're making a decision. Hey, are we loving working together? Is this the right fit? It sounds like a lot of work. I get it. If you're a solo and you've never worked in corporate, like moi, this is like, oh my God, seriously, Rebecca, do I really need to do this? Because honestly, I have a lot of priorities. They're an adult. They came such and such a design firm, or they've worked corporate. Shit, they used to work for so-and-so. Come on, Rebecca. This is going to sound like I don't trust them and like I'm babying them and like I'm holding their hand. Wrong. Honestly, that's how I used to feel. I was intimidated and scared. And I didn't want to This is your goddamn business. This is your business. You want to make sure that the people you are paying are working for you and that your job is working for them. I have spent too many years bringing people on that weren't right and keeping them on for way frickin' too long. And it only hindered my growth and made me somewhat of a miserable human from time to time. So this is my New Year's resolution what are we in? May, June, April? Where are we? I don't even know. It's my mid-year resolution to really step up and act more like a CEO. And implementing this onboarding practice is one of those first steps. that's what I'm going to do. Those are the 5 steps I'm working on. We've created them. In theory, it's going to work great. So let me know, guys, if you've done this before, if you have any tips for me, if this is interesting to you, would you want me to share a template on how to do this or what I've done? I'd be happy to. Let me know. Basically, we'll see. I'm going to share this here, and then I'm going to circle back in a few months' time, and I'll let you know how it worked out, what I tweaked. I'm pretty sure I created the 30, 60-day sort of tasks. And then I realized, you know what? I'm not going to do the 90 days yet. I'll maybe do a couple, but I kind of want to wait and test the waters because it's my first time doing this. So I will let you guys know if it was effective. And I'm pretty sure that the employees are going to like having that direction. And I have a feeling I'm going to like it too. All right. There you have it. A shorty but goodie. That's exactly how I intend to onboard the next 2 hires in my business. I will report back to you. Happy hiring. If that's the state if that's the stage of business you're in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you guys soon.